telling your colleagues in Washington that when they're burning down this house, there's people still inside?
A pair of U.S. senators come face to face with voters upset about the Trump administration's efforts to slash federal spending. Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego also expressing frustration.
What they're doing is just absolutely arbitrary. They wanted to do something, we could do it together. We could do it in a manner that is respectful.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. A heated town hall meeting took place in Arizona today, focused on Medicaid. Senators Mark Kelly and Ruben Gallego warned voters on hand about what they describe as impending cuts to the popular federal health insurance program. Fox 10's Lauren Clark has more tonight on the concerns that were raised by voters at this event.
Well, Democrats are certainly concerned about possible, although not yet certain, cuts to the program of Medicaid. In Arizona, it's called Access, and it impacts about 2 million Arizonans.
Would you mind telling your colleagues in Washington that when they're burning down this house, there's people still inside? My kid is inside.
Emotions ran high at a town hall Senators Mark Kelly and Ruben Gallego hosted Monday. The two Arizona Democrats warning about what they call impending cuts to Medicaid. The senators pointing to a budget plan adopted by House Republicans last month. It calls on the Energy and Commerce Committee to cut at least $880 billion in mandatory spending cuts over the next 10 years.
In that one committee, they basically control two big chunks of money, Medicare and Medicaid. Now, I don't think they're dumb enough to go after Medicare, but I do think they're dumb enough to go after Medicaid.
The two claim this would hurt those on the cusp of poverty the most, but also have rippling effects.
Our hospitals are going to have to cut staff, and that staff affects the people that aren't on Medicaid or aren't on Medicare. It has an impact on everybody.
Fox 10 reached out to several Arizona Republicans in the State House and Congress. All were either unavailable or they did not respond back. However, for weeks, Republican lawmakers have insisted DOGE and government cutting measures are essential for eliminating fraud and waste. Speaking to reporters, Elon Musk emphasized these moves may be necessary for these programs.
Only by tackling the waste and fraud in entitlements like Social Security, Medicare, can we actually preserve those programs for the future.
A stance.
But what they're doing is just absolutely arbitrary.
Senator Gallego strongly disputes.
They wanted to do something, we could do it together. We could do it in a manner that is respectful also of these employees, 1/3 of them being veterans, and at the same time find real cuts and real waste, and actually at the same time protecting services too.
And again, the Medicaid system, a Medicare system directed at those with the lowest income of both adults and children. We will also let you know if any Arizona Republicans reach out to us on this story, and we will include their responses on our website. Reporting here in Phoenix, Lauren Clark, Fox 10 News.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem made a visit to Arizona to announce plans to build additional border wall.
Right at this spot, you can see where the border wall ends. As of today, we're starting 7 new miles of construction.
While Secretary Noem made that announcement in the border town of Nogales, Arizona, the new stretch of border wall she referred to is actually going to be built in Texas. Her visit to Arizona gave her a chance to meet with Customs and Border Protection workers. A U.S. Navy destroyer is getting involved now in the Trump administration's crackdown on illegal immigration. The Pentagon says it has deployed the USS Gravely to help, quote, restore territorial integrity at the U.S. southern border. It did not disclose the exact location of where the destroyer is going. The USS Gravely is expected to become part of operations to combat illegal immigration and drug smuggling. The Pentagon also says it will be involved in counterterrorism missions and humanitarian response. The Trump administration says it plans to keep flying Venezuelan migrants designated as gang members from the U.S. to Central America, despite a court order to stop those flights. This video was posted on social media by El Salvador's president, who has agreed to accept the migrants. About 250 people were deported Saturday and placed in a high-security prison. The manager of the San Francisco Public Defender's Office says the U.S. government invoked a rarely used 18th century law that was meant for wartime.
This country has declared it war against another nation, or if there is an active invasion from a foreign state into this country. What the Trump administration has done is it identified a couple criminal organizations and said that they were a quasi-state and that therefore they have the right to invoke this act.
According to a lawsuit filed by the ACLU, 2 planes were out of the country when a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to bring those deportees back. A 3rd plane took off after the judge's restraining order was issued. The judge has now asked the White House to answer his specific questions on those deportations by tomorrow. Builders in Colorado say they're already seeing President Trump's trade war beginning to affect business. Fox's Kennedy Hayes caught up with industry insiders in Denver.
The builder of this ADU, or accessory dwelling unit behind me, says if lumber tariffs happen, his construction costs will go up, and so will home prices. He already has some buyers afraid they won't be able to afford their dream homes.
We were almost through permitting on one ADU, and the clients decided to not move forward with the project, and one of the reasons being due to fears of tariffs. And then we had another one that recently I had a client say, yeah, this is exciting, but we're gonna wait and see how the market shifts.
Canada is one of the largest lumber producers in the world and the main source of U.S. lumber imports. Last year, 72% of America's overall lumber imports came from Canada. Lumber already has a 14% tariff on it that the Biden administration put in place last summer. If President Trump's 25% tariff goes ahead, that means lumber costs could go up nearly 40% altogether. Housing researchers say even if lumber tariffs don't happen, there is not much relief in sight in the housing market. Buyers may need to rearrange their checklists.
If you're looking to buy, you might ask yourself, like, where can you really compromise? Like, do you need to necessarily be in this neighborhood? Do you need to be in this particular location? Are there other places where, if affordability is really an issue, where you could compromise?
Researchers add one way homeowners can save is by pushing those renovations back or purchasing lumber from those builders stockpiling now just in case. In Denver, Kennedy Hayes, Fox News.
On Wall Street today, stocks were higher after 4 straight weeks of losses driven by concerns over the impact of President Trump's tariffs. The Dow was up by 353 points today. The Nasdaq gained 54, and the S&P was up by 36 points after entering a correction last week. Turning now to our weather here in the West, and people in some parts of southern Oregon are trying to dry out tonight. Storms flooded parts of Douglas County late yesterday. Many schools decided to close today because of landslides in the area and because of the high water that was lingering on many roads. First responders are still surveying the extent of the damage that was done in that part of Oregon. For more on what we can expect weather-wise as we head through this week, let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Rosemary Orozco. Rosemary?
Yes, Alex, the final days of winter and a lot of rain and snow over the west. Here's a look at Seattle this afternoon, picking up 1/10 of an inch of rainfall. The high that in the afternoon, 51 degrees. Meanwhile, San Francisco, 3/10 of an inch reported since last night and 58 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. Here's a view of the radar, and you can see over the entire west, we've got a mix of rain and snow. We also have advisories to go along with it. If we shift into areas of the Pacific Northwest, the light rain and wet weather continue into areas of Washington, Oregon, over towards Idaho, and the state of California. Seeing thunderstorms this afternoon. You may notice those lightning strikes there being picked up over the Sierra foothills. If we stretch back, take a look at the advisories. Widespread. How about we start in the north, where we have the shades of blues and purples indicating travel advisories for snow. If I move in a bit closer here, these are the warnings for flooding for area rivers still there in the southern part of Oregon. Some will go all the way until early Thursday morning. Meanwhile, the state of California covered in colors as well. Whites and purples indicating winter storm warnings in the Sierra. And we've got wind out there in areas like Southern California, parts of Arizona, and the Great Basin, including Nevada and Utah. The West Coast forecast moving forward. Here's a look at tomorrow morning. Begin to get a break. Tuesday looks like a mainly dry day for the West, but here's another system that will be rolling ashore on Wednesday, continuing the wet weather on the final day of winter. Not everybody dealing with the wet weather and the cold weather. 82 degrees this afternoon in Phoenix. And as we take a look at the next few days here, starting in the Pacific Northwest, going to remain cool, and come Thursday, spring showers in the forecast for Seattle. Head over towards California. It's going to be a little bit below average in the San Francisco Bay Area for the coming days. But Thursday, the first day of spring, looks like it will be mainly dry with a warm up coming into the Bay Area for the back end of the business weekend. Los Angeles looking good. Low 70s in the forecast for the first day of spring. And how about Phoenix? Low 70s tomorrow, low 80s on Thursday, the first day of spring. Alex?
All right, Rosemary, thank you. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a 3-hour-long school day with an AI teacher. This is what's coming to Arizona. Ahead tonight, a closer look at this controversial approach to education. And a new legal filing is raising eyebrows in the public feud between rapper Drake and Southern California hip-hop star Kendrick Lamar. Why Universal Music is asking for the lawsuit brought by Drake to be dismissed.
911 location of your emergency. Hi, something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what. What is the address of the emergency? 1122.
Newly released 911 recordings give a sense of the panic among college students after finding one of their friends passed out in their Moscow, Idaho home. Police later found 4 students dead in that house in a murder case that has gained national attention. Investigators say Brian Kohberger, the defendant in this case, stabbed the victims to death. More than 2 years after those killings, Kohberger's trial is set to begin in August. As Fox 13's Shiro Matsuzawa reports tonight, the defense believes Kohberger should not face the death penalty if he's convicted because of his autism diagnosis.
His attorneys say a doctor has evaluated him, and they say his autism has had significant impact on his daily life. Today, though, I talked with an expert who tells me the fact that the defense is raising this even before the trial starts is unique, and it has potential to set precedent. In this case, where jurors will be forced to determine whether Brian Kohberger will live or die, Mr. Kohberger himself is essentially a piece of evidence to be examined and evaluated. Kohberger's attorneys writing that last month as they ask the court to strike the death penalty from his case if he's found guilty. He's accused of murdering University of Idaho students Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves, and Ethan Chapin in an off-campus home in November of 2022. The defense now arguing Kohberger has autism.
It's been done before.
John Bloom is the Samuel Leibowitz Professor of Trial Techniques and the director of the Cornell Death Penalty Project. He's seen his share of intellectual disabilities used in capital punishment cases.
The Supreme Court of the United States said in a 2002 case, Atkins versus Virginia, that people with intellectual disability, or what we used to call mental retardation, can't be sentenced to death and can't be executed.
But autism is not considered an intellectual disability, rather a developmental disability. And the Supreme Court has not said the same thing about people with autism spectrum disorder. Kohberger's attorneys say people with autism spectrum disorder, like Kohberger, exhibit many of the very same impairments as people with intellectual disabilities.
They're not saying, look, he can't be found guilty of murder. He can, just like somebody with intellectual disability can be found guilty of murder. But because of this severe developmental disorder, he doesn't have sufficient moral culpability to justify putting him to death.
The 28-page motion filed also cites news organizations and online videos calling Kohberger's mannerisms signs of guilt, like his deadpan look and robot-like walk, posting that his facial expressions and body language prove he is a, quote, murderous incel. His atypical eye contact, including an intense gaze, has also been called sinister. But the defense says these are traits of his autism. Bloom says autism has been raised in other cases, but at trial. The fact that Kohberger's attorneys are raising this before his trial doesn't happen often and could have the potential to change the law.
I think there's an opportunity for a court to say, either as a matter of state law, state constitutional law, federal law, that we're not going to allow people with autism to be sentenced to death.
In the newsroom, Shira Matsuzawa, Fox 13 News.
A judge has issued a temporary restraining order blocking the release of pictures, videos, and reports related to the investigation into the deaths of actor Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa. The couple was found dead in their home in Santa Fe, New Mexico last month. In a motion filed last week, a representative of the couple's estate said sealing those records would protect the family's privacy during their grief. A hearing to discuss the request is scheduled to take place later this month. We turn now to the latest on the legal drama swirling around Drake and Kendrick Lamar. Today, Universal Music Group, the label representing both rappers, filed a motion to dismiss Drake's lawsuit that accuses Universal of defamation over the release of Kendrick Lamar's smash hit Not Like Us. In that filing, Universal called Drake's lawsuit, quote, misguided, and they pointed out that he willingly took part in this escalating hip-hop feud. I talked earlier with TMZ's Michael Babcock about how Universal went after Drake in this filing.
They say multiple times that Drake lost the rap battle. They say, multiple times that Drake was happy to use the big PR machine that UMG has to spread lies and inflammatory comments that he has made about other artists. But then when that was done to him, that he can't take it, he can't accept it. And he's just, again, he's bitter that he lost the battle.
Kendrick Lamar, who's from Compton, California, won 5 Grammy Awards for Not Like Us. Detectives say surveillance video from a Sacramento, California Target store shows 2 men involved in a retail theft operation. Investigators say both men did rapid transactions at self-checkout, buying gift cards with the help of a cell phone app and dozens of bank card numbers. Authorities believe the bank card numbers used were provided by a person who paid them to make the purchases. The men left the store after buying more than $1,500 worth of gift cards, and they were arrested by officers outside that business. Los Angeles-based retailer Forever 21 has filed for bankruptcy for a second time. The company is citing rising inflation and intense competition from online fast fashion retailers such as Temu and Shein as the cause. The company has amassed $1.5 billion in debt. Forever 21 first filed for bankruptcy in 2019 and shut down 200 stores. Forever 21 plans to hold liquidation sales at its remaining 350 U.S. stores, which will then most likely close. Arizona education officials have approved a controversial new school that's set to open in the state coming up in the fall. Fox 10's Steve Nielsen has more tonight on the online school that uses AI to teach students.
That's key, the role of the teacher in an AI world. Are we ready for this? The state approved it, but national education leaders have concerns.
Sienna is proud to show off her business.
I sell 3D printed earrings. So here are a few. I'm wearing some crazy ones right now.
Sienna's studio is up and running. The Michigan high school student learned a lot about starting a business thanks to an online life skills program.
We came up with like a brand and kind of a business identity. We came up with a name and a logo.
And that is all coming to Arizona. At a December charter school board meeting, members approved Unbound Academy, an online charter school that teaches with artificial intelligence.
Our teachers still do a lot of the teaching role, but they don't do the actual teaching of academic concepts because we know that that's something that AI can do really well.
Ivy Shoes says they've tested it on hundreds of students in Texas, and the school day is short because AI is so effective at tailoring teaching to each student.
Because everything's personalized to the student, learning for core academics is just 2 to 2.5 hours a day.
AI teaching has been controversial. The nation's largest teachers union saying AI can enhance education, but is concerned at where the tech stands now, adding humans must always be the center of the teaching and learning experience and play a significant role.
Will there be teachers involved in this learning?
Yes, there will be teachers, and we're hiring for Arizona certified teachers as well as equivalently certified teachers around.
Class sizes, she says, will be equivalent to public schools. For now, it's only for 4th to 8th grade. Board members asked about student data privacy.
How do you keep that safe? What's your
your safety component for our students.
We obviously ensure we meet all federal mandates in terms of FERPA and privacy.
After the 2.5-hour school day, kids will be immersed in the Life Skills program. That's all about what the kids want to learn. And that's where Sienna learned to start her business, impressing her mom.
It really gave Sienna and the kids in her group an opportunity to learn things that typically people don't get a chance to try and learn until they're working once they've graduated.
Enrollment is capped at 200 students for next year. They're also launching another AI school that'll be for dual language. Steve Nielsen, Fox 10 News.
Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, delivering the gift of life twice. Up next, an Arizona mom opens up about donating a kidney to save her son.
It's a really interesting thing as a mother. I gave him life once, but I actually got to give him life again.
Drug enforcement agents say they have made a major bust in Phoenix. They say 2 men had more than 700,000 fentanyl pills hidden in packages of roofing shingles. Investigators approached those men after watching one of them load the packages into the other's truck. Both men were taken into custody. Authorities say they found more drugs at one of the suspects' homes. The suspects have now been booked on drug charges that could send them to prison for 10 years if they're convicted. Finally tonight, a mother's sacrifice to save her son's life. Fox 10's Dominique Newland spoke with her about the decision to donate her kidney.
According to the National Kidney Foundation, 1 in 3 American adults are at risk for chronic kidney disease. What's often plagued as the silent killer. It's sometimes hard to know if you have it unless symptoms worsen.
90% of people who have kidney disease have no idea because the symptoms are so benign. A sore back, swollen feet, fatigue. Most people probably feel that at the end of every workday.
That's where the National Kidney Foundation of Arizona comes in to assist with getting more people screened. They help with medical expenses and transportation to and from appointments. Something close to the heart for Lisa Holdaway, her son diagnosed with kidney disease at 14.
He was tired all of the time. He was literally sleeping 12 to 14 hours a day. He would wake up, he was still tired. His coloring was off. And as parents, we just attributed it to he was a freshman in high school. He's tired. He's getting used to getting up early.
Lisa knew if it came down to it, she would donate her kidney to her son, Kendon. And then that moment came.
It's a really interesting thing as a mother. I gave him life once, but I actually got to give him life again. So that unique opportunity of being able to give your child life twice, it's not something that a lot of moms get to experience, but it's a really sacred, profound experience.
After a successful kidney transplant in 2018, Lisa is doing well, and her son Kendon thriving. Now married and just finished his first year of medical school. He was so inspired by his own experience, he's dedicating his life's work to helping others, both mom and son, spreading awareness about kidney disease. Dominique Newland, Fox 10 News.
What an incredible gift. All right, that does it for West Coast Wrap. We thank you for watching tonight. And a quick reminder before we go that you can stay up to date on all the big stories we're covering across the West Coast at our website, westcoastwrap.com, and stream our shows on your smart TV by downloading the free Fox Local app. Have a great rest of your night.